Now about construction in Portugal. It's very, very hard to talk about construction because once again we will talk about timeline.
Yes, and that's the conversation I often have with my clients. It's like construction can be a great return on investment, but you really have to have time because you first purchase the plot, then you need to do the architecture, then the licensing, then you have to go through town hall. And on the best case scenario that never happens, it will be 9 months in town hall. And that's the best case scenario. That's very, very rare. I've had, as we know, situations where it's been like a year and a half and more on town hall.
Mhm.
And I always say my clients, okay, once you start, don't expect for the house to be ready in less than 3 years. And that's
Yes,
already fairly positive looking.
I think Portugal. I think no, this is true. Portugal it's a country of constructors. That's why we have a lot of Portuguese people working all over the world.
Mm.
Not only in Europe, but even in America in construction too. I know a lot of constructions that they were in America, and then they come back to Portugal and they start their
Hmm.
own
Companies.
company
Mm.
to work in here. And Portugal, it's very very good to in traditional construction, brick construction, concrete construction. We are very, very good at it. But yes,
And
it
also
takes,
on that topic, what do you think about, because before 2000, the regulations, especially around energy efficiency and so on, were fairly relaxed, and we don't have a lot of good construction on terms of isolation there. But they changed in around 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And I know they were, in the past 2 years, they were made even tighter. I think that's a positive thing. What's your opinion on that?
okay. So let's start about the installation of the buildings in Portugal. Why we don't have those things in mind? Okay, if we talk with North Europe,
Mm.
it's very very cold.
Mm.
They need to have big windows just to make the light enter the place. They need to have a good insulation. So when we go down in Europe, those the necessity will be
Less.
smaller.
Yeah.
And when we came to Portugal, the last part of Europe, the end of the Europe, um, we don't. Our construction started with small people because it's the tradition. So we will make our houses step by step. The way
Yes,
we do.
and that's like 50, 100 years ago. So many people just built their own houses, and even like formal licensing, it was only implemented quite late here in Portugal.
Yes, yes, that's true, and that's one of the reasons for that to happen that. So it's very very interesting because those people uh, are the traditional construction
Yeah.
because they started it. And Portugal, we have cold, we have hot time, good weather, bad weather. We have everything in Portugal. So
Our
in
weather is
here,
not that bad for most people, international perspective. With it's like we have a very quite a mean quiet climate. Yeah.
I like it a lot too. It's true, but especially when we have houses with good insulation too, because it's true. For now, on summer, if we don't have good insulation, our house it's not living here.
It's going to be the same temperature as outside.
Yes.
And that's actually a common pain point for my clients because, well, it's not comfortable, right? And in America, in, like you said, Northern Europe, Germany, Netherlands, even the UK, they have very good isolations in their houses. And here in Portugal, like we were talking, like the requirements started being tighter around 2010 and even tighter in the past few years, but it's still only the new construction will fit those requirements.
Yes, 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 yes. And I think this is very important to exist because, as I said, it's about the future. We need to make sure that people can live better, people can
Yeah,
have better
more
buildings,
comfort.
have better lifestyle, because this is
Yeah,
part of our lifestyle. And now the insulation is getting more
getting
necessary.
there. It's getting there. And what do you think about, buying a secondhand property that is not the best isolation? How easy do you think it is to improve the insulation on the house?
It depends. How much do you want to expand on that part of the renovation
Yeah,
of the installation of the installation? Because we have good materials that can be a fast construction. We have the attic system, for example. It's very common you're in Portugal. Um, in 1 month, we have whole house renovated and with a good insulation. But having a second, I think yes, if we can, why not?
yeah, I also think that's a good thing. And I don't think that's too much of a complicated work. And it's generally not one that requires licensing unless you are changing like window size and roof type and those kinds of things. Here in Portugal, as long as you don't make exterior or structural changes, you don't have to
Mhm.
go through the formal licensing. So improving the isolation generally does not need the formal licensing.
Yes, that's true. And this is very good. But I need to talk about another thing that in my career, I saw a lot of problems in construction. And when we change and we renovate a building, improving the insulation of it, sometimes people here in Portugal, I think people have a lot of problems to open the window. Everything is closed. And the ventilation is very, very, very important. I think it's the most important part of the house is the ventilation. And in Portugal, what happened or what is happening right now? We had a house without insulation, so the house does the regular ventilation through the walls because it's normal, it's material, it's material. And when we improve the insulation, it's like this house is just a capsule. So what is inside, never
Yeah.
came out. And this is very, very important to know that now, just right now, the ventilation is one of the reasons to have a house with better life, with a good lifestyle and a better insulation,
Mm.
because we need to have and we need to renovate the hair we have inside to make sure that materials that we
Yeah.
install
Yeah, I
they are
think once that you improve the insulation, you have to be more careful with
the ventilation.
the ventilation of the house. Yeah,
Yes,
it makes
I
sense.
saw
That's a
in
good
the
point.
past. In the past, I saw family, a small family with a kid, and they asked me to. That time I worked with a company, with a construction company.
Mhm.
They asked me to go there, and they wanted to do a small renovation and improve the insulation, the the insulation. So, and I said yes, okay, let's change the windows to better windows, improve the insulation. We change a little bit the roof. So we created a capsule, as I told
Yeah.
you.
Mm.
So 1 month later, I was after the construction be finished. I received a call from them. Oh, we have a problem in here in our walls. Our walls have a lot of water in there. Our windows have water there. No, it can't be possible.
Mm.
And when I went there, I just opened the door. I could feel the hair just
Humid.
air massive because they didn't do any ventilation.
Oh, that's actually very interesting because that's another common complaint and worry for people coming to Portugal is because a lot of people talk about molds and humidity inside the house. And I personally always had the impression that improving the isolation would reduce that problem. Of course, it also has to do with climate and humidity and so on. But I never considered what you are saying right now, that once you have a good isolation and you kind of create a capsule within the house, if you don't ventilate properly, the humidity stays inside and it can create a problem too. That's a very interesting.
Yeah, and it happens, especially on the windows, because if inside it's very, very hot and the outside is cold, the window it's
Yeah, will
working, but
condensate.
performance
Yeah.
have a limit,
Yeah.
and the performance has a limit. So when I arrived there, I said, "No, you need to open the walls, the
The
windows,
windows.
please. The
Yeah.
wall can't breathe." So
Yeah.
the only side that you can make sure that the house is breathing is about it's from the window. So open them. And they said,
Mhm.
"No, I can't open the window because someone can enter in here. Please."
Do
It's
you
a
think that, for example, like a dehumidifier would be a solution there? Probably not because it doesn't really renovate air, right? But it at least would take the humidity out.
more and less.
Mm.
Ventilation is necessary too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, it's like 30 minutes per day, 30 minutes, one
Yeah.
hour per day.
Yeah.
Not more than that. It's
Yeah.
the minimum to make sure that the humidity can be out. So because this is about this is physics and
Mm.
it's physics and chemics. So
Mm.
the what is inside need to be renovated. So if we create a capsule, we need to have some uh, options
Yeah.
to make sure that it will
Yeah.
renovate and because I think in Portugal, comparing Portugal to America, for example, not all America because America is very very huge,
Huge. Yes.
but but last year I had a client in Portugal. It was for a single house in Espinho. And he asked me, you wanted to create a house without walls on the property, just open gardens through the road. Yeah. Oh, perfect! It's like the houses in America. And
Mm.
he said, yes, it's something like that. I really enjoy those houses there. Yeah, but I need to see if we can do that in this place because in Portugal it's common to have the walls over the property. I don't know why
Mm.
yet the reason, but here in Portugal we put walls and it's like a physical capsule just for the eyes. Said,
But
no,
I don't think it's mandatory. But yeah, you're right. Especially in suburb villa areas, usually all the villas have their own individual walls around that delimitate the limits and so on. And it's very rare, only in very, very rural locations, you will see properties that do not have fences or walls.
yes, and it happens not only outside but even inside. Our grandparents they used to do the ventilation a lot of time,
Yeah,
even with house without insulation.
yeah,
We used to. Our generation doesn't do that,
yeah.
doesn't do at all. And it's very, very, very interesting because even outside we have all walls in all limits of our property.
Mm.
When we go to inside our house, we have everything closed to because no, this is my place. It's very, very close. And I don't know why we changed our mind from our grandparents to our generation, but it's something that happens, and the house can be degraded
Yeah, now
easily.
I'm thinking about it. To be fair, I sometimes open the window, but it's mostly when I feel like I need to air because it's either too hot or too cold and so on. But you're right. It's not something I remember or even feel the need to do every day.
Yes, but and it's important because we don't do that. We don't do that at all. Our generation doesn't do that, and even from our parents too, they don't do that too. I just know few people when we talk about not only architects but people like us,
Yeah.
people. It's very, very unusual to do that. For example, when I woke up, the first thing I do is to open the window. Just okay, right now. If it's rain, if it's a sunny day, I don't care. I just open the
Yeah.
window because I know the importance of the ventilation of the house and to the maintenance. Because
But
the,
that's a habit that you need to create and was
yeah,
lost somewhere along the way. You're right.
it's very, very important, and we can improve our lifestyle and our with our hair inside our house. As you know, my lifestyle is it's unusual too because I live to family too, and I think it's very important to make sure that our children have good habits since the beginning. When they are young, um, we need to teach them to make sure not only for the house but their lifestyle.
Yeah, to
Uh,
improve their own
eating
quality of life.
well,
Yes.
eating well, creating good habits, not only open the window, but too, because my daughter does that with us too. But eating well and everything is very important to make sure that our future generations have a better lifestyle because construction right now it's about the future lifestyle,
Mm.
and those habits are very, very important. And I talk about that since probably 6 years ago when I started talking about the ventilation. And when I work, I did a small manual to when we used to finish the construction, some works. I used to give them a small manual how to do the maintenance of the house.
Ah,
And
that's so
that number,
interesting.
do the ventilation, open your windows, because it's very important to, especially to when we know that, to share with people,
Yeah,
to share
yeah.
with people. So about the construction, because we
Yeah,
talked
I
about
was actually going to go back to that because the conversation about how Portuguese people have the fences and the walls and so on is quite interesting because when I was in the US, things are more towards open spaces and that sort of presentation. However, people are very specific about privacy, and it's fairly common, especially in more high-end properties, that there is the properties in the middle of the plot. While to have privacy, so you have all these big windows and open spaces, but people cannot see what you are doing inside the house because there is a big space between the public, so roads, and the actual property. While in Portugal, it's generally the houses are closer to the public road, so
Mhm.
that often becomes an issue because for my clients, very often that's one of their concerns. Like they want open spaces, but they also want privacy, and it's quite hard here in Portugal to find that setting.
Yes, 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 yes. And it's interesting to compare Portugal to America because it's not only the size of the countries, because it's a small country
Yeah.
to a huge country, a bigger one. And even when we talk about the houses, it's the same. Even the cars. the cars we have in here and the cars we have in
Yes,
America, they
I
have,
was so like everything is so big there. I felt
yeah.
so small when I was next to the roads, like the cars, they're big SUVs. It's like those things are huge.
Everything
I'm a
is
small
huge.
person.
That's true. That's true. But yes, you talk about one of the issues because yes, we want space and when we want privacy, but sometimes I think we think too much.
No, I think that it's just a very different way of thinking because, for example, in rural areas, you see a lot of the houses that we call as casas dos imigrantes, so the immigrant houses. That basically usually the origin story is that the family immigrated somewhere, often France, and then came back and built their house big so they can house your family and so on. And they have kind of a multi-generation house with a lot of rooms and often kind of two houses in one kind of thing. And that is not common in the US at all. In the US, like the younger persons move out and start their own life. And there is not this cultural tradition of keeping the household together between generations.
Yes, 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 yes. I think we in Portugal we live to we live a lot the family. The family is very it's
Yeah.
the center of everything. And talking about people that used to work in other countries like France, US, and other Switzerland and other countries, I think it's because we used to be a poor country
Mhm.
with humble people. And
Actually, a long time ago, we were a very rich country, but somewhere in the middle, we started becoming a very poor country.
yes, thank
We
you
are
for
very
your
good at bad
yes.
management.
That's true. That's true. It's yes, that's true. But in some time of history, like 100 years ago, we used to be a country of humble people and poor people. And when people went to other countries and returned, when they returned to Portugal, they tried to make sure that we tried to create the life of to our daughters, to our to everyone, and that's the reason they used to build big houses for all family for all family. It's very usual and traditional and traditional. And talking about traditional and return to our first topic about the construction. I think the construction in Portugal it's a little bit longer.
Mhm.
In usually to build a small house, it took 2 years more or less. And people say, "Oh my God, how can it happen?" Okay, it
Mhm.
can happen because we are using traditional materials that they need time to
But they
to
do
be.
last a long time.
Yes, yes, yes. But fortunately, the future it's
It's evolving, and
more.
technology is developing so fast, including in
Yes,
construction.
very fast. And light steel framing, I think it's one of my best materials to work with right now. It's a little bit more expensive, that's true, but when we talk about time, I think the main problem, the main issue to my clients is time. How
Yeah.
long it will take?
And it's so
How long?
hard to give an answer.
Yeah, very hard, especially when we talk about cameras. But talking about the construction, usually 2 years, 3 years, more or less. But with the light steel framing, we can take 1 year and we can build a house. And this is amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and this is my issue here in Portugal, fortunately, we have some companies working with light steel framing right now, but it's not so common because people doesn't know those materials, don't understand
And is
the
the cost significantly higher or not so much? Yeah,
more and less.
it's can also be a matter of
Why?
budget.
I think more or less light steel framing is it's more expensive than traditional construction.
Mhm.
It's true. Okay, it's more expensive, but it's not so expensive. We need to compare the time. because when we have a bigger time, we are paying for those days, those months, those years. So in light steel framing, we can pay more in the beginning because it's still it's more expensive. But in the end of the construction, the price
You
it
also
will
are
be
saving a
good.
lot of time.
Yeah, because
And
it's
time is
like
money, like Americans say.
of course. But in the end, if flat steel framing is 20% more expensive than traditional construction, it's relevant to
Yeah.
think about it
Mm.
and put in on the table because it's very good to in Portugal we don't have houses. We have a problem with houses, and the construction could be an answer if we are used
But
to work with these kind of materials, fast materials, and they are across the sustainability too.
yeah. No, yeah, well,
Tradition.
what you were thinking about the housing issues, there is so much to tackle there. But you know, with the time to get approvals, plus the time of construction, it can definitely be deterring to a lot special international investors that are used to faster time frames. And I
Mhm.
definitely think that is something that our government should try and find a better solution for.
Yes. And we need to have more politics to make sure that the construction can help the country and not can
Well,
guarantee emission.
they did make these new policies with the simplex and so on, but the actual functionality is being very dubious.
Yes, because simplex it's not simple at all.
No, and it's not even working. So supposedly they implemented the deadlines, but the town halls are not even keeping them. So it's kind of
Yes,
pointless.
the thing. Yes, because the way they wrote the law, uh, it's not so direct to the
Well,
point.
I don't know. Do you think it's actually better than the previous system, or do you think it didn't even make any improvement?
Yeah, we had improvements, of course. Of course, we had improvements, especially about the papers, because now we don't need a lot of 100
Yeah.
papers to make sure that
Well,
we
at least
can.
it was some improvement.
Yeah, that part was very good. But about the time, because these changes were motivated from the time,
Hmm.
the
Trying to
time
reduce the
response.
time frames, yes.
Yes, but they didn't
They
reduce
didn't do
so much.
much, yes.
No, no, and I think the major problem is still there.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. It was a good decision. Part of the simplex were a good decision, but the other one, it's the
Yeah,
same. Worse.
it's not a complete solution yet. It
Yeah.
was somewhat an improvement.